Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm continuing my top 10 figures list of the year videos with my top 10 favorite Star Wars The Black Series figures. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. I have the chapter function enabled here on this video, so you can go ahead and skip to number 10 because really quick, I just kind of wanted to rant about this toy line this year because yes, I was able to get about enough to make a top 10 list, but just barely. I got maybe like 15 figures this year. If you ask me, I feel like this is one of the weakest years for the line yet. I just think that there was a lot of laziness going on with some of these particular figures, a lot of reuse for stuff that shouldn't be reused, way overpriced figures for stuff that we basically already have, and some character selections weren't all that great. There was some stuff that we got this year I didn't get yet that, a lot of us did want for a while, which is cool. I don't know. I just felt painfully indifferent when I saw a lot of reveals for these new figures. I don't know what it is. I can't even say that the team, doing the Black Series is entirely lazy. I think they honestly might be a little stretched thin because they're also, some of the same people are working on the Indiana Jones 6-inch figure. So I don't really know what all is going on there, but I'm not really a big fan of this year's selection of Black Series figures and the price increase. I know it's happening for a lot of stuff with Hasbro, but the price increase definitely didn't help. Next year does look a bit more promising with the Knights of the Old Republic figures, as well as the 20th anniversary of Clone Wars stuff that we should be getting. We're also getting Mara Jade finally in the line. So that's not to say that next year, is probably going to be bad. I think it's going to be better than this current year. I just don't know with whatever character selections we get. If I'm going to continue the line, I just don't know how many I'm going to get. I don't know if I'll do a top 10 next year. With that out of the way, the little side tangent there, I know people aren't going to agree with that, and that's fine. That's just how I feel. I'm going to go ahead and start with what I have at number 10. At number 10, we have the Throne Room Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett, which I actually don't have on me right now. I had to get a replacement because the tubing around the arms or the wiring or whatever that started to break off. So I have a replacement coming in. I don't have a figure in front of me right now. But this figure, if I'm being honest, barely made the top 10. I wasn't super impressed with it. If I paid like the retail price for it, like 30 to 33 bucks, I don't think it would be on this list at all. I do not think it's worth that much. I don't know what it is with people coming with Boba Fett's accessories that are, 30 bucks that really should not be $30 figures. And I'm also talking about Cobb Vanth. But I think that mostly this could have been a lot better in some areas. I know that they tried their best with how the legs are supposed to be, with how baggy they are. I get that. I still don't think they all came out that well. Some of the paint apps are not that great, and also mostly I'm not really a big fan of the paint apps on the markings, the scars on the face, I should say. There's good things about it though. The actual head sculpt is really good. I think the accessories also are pretty good. The weapons just lack paint, but the jetpack is pretty nice. And it has some decent articulation. And I think that the boots and the gauntlets are also done pretty well. So there's good things about it. Again, it barely made the top 10. At number 9, I have the Umbra Operative ARC Trooper, the GameStop exclusive Gaming Grades Battlefront 2 figure here. I just overall really like the paint apps on this. All this orange comes through really nicely. The way that they've made it look a little bit battle damaged in some areas was pretty nice. Maybe some of those additional details like actual battle damage on the armor would be nice. I'm not sure what else they could have done a little bit differently to make it a little better. I feel like shading in some areas could have been nice, but I don't think shading would have made it accurate. I think it looks pretty accurate to how it's supposed to look. Not the biggest fan of whenever I got this, I had this big paint splotch, unfortunately. But this is mostly using parts. It's mostly a reuse of the ARC Trooper we got in 2021. And I think that they changed up the pauldrons, placement, the pouches placement here. I don't exactly remember. I don't think that the newer articulation for Clone Troopers is all that great still. Mostly just the fact that the knee pad just won't move with the knee, as you can see there. But other than that, this is still like the right amount of reuse, I should say. I think that the paint apps on this thing was also pretty good. And this thing just really stands out in your collection because of how it looks. Number 8, I'm going to put the Jet Trooper here. I believe also a Gaming Grades Battlefront 2 exclusive type character. And I also really love how this looks. I didn't think I was going to like this more than the Umbra Operative. The big thing here, though, it's mostly some of the original articulation we have with the Clone Trooper retooled, though, because it seemed like the arms go down a lot more naturally than the previous one. I do believe they also retooled parts of the chest and the head, so that way it's actually a ball joint here. I think they actually allowed for better range of motion going down the arms and even going out. And then the legs, they actually like updated. I don't know if they updated anything to the legs, but it just seems a lot easier to stand than previous, 1.0 clone troopers. I was never the biggest fan of that body just because it wasn't fun to mess around with. This thing is extremely fun. Sure, it doesn't come with that much stuff, just mostly a jetpack and a blaster pistol, but that's really all you had when you played as this character. This thing looks fantastic. It's really fun to pose around, and I wish I got more of these. At number 7, I'm going to put Axe Woves here. This is a pretty nice figure overall. I don't think as good as the Death Watch Mandalorian. We'll get to that in a second, actually. But it's still really nice. I think this head sculpt and the face printing on here is really sick. The overall paint apps are also really good with those silver markings in the chest and all that. And they have new parts for this particular character. They go underneath this chest piece here. I do think this makes, this thing here makes just this ever so, it moves around a little too much in the chest here, unfortunately. Sometimes the backpack, it depends. You really have to push it in to make sure it's secure. But the jetpack here is really nice. The overall body mold here was still really good. There's enough different here compared to the previous, Death Watch Mandalorian here that I think is really, really well done. The overall body mold is really great. And, that blaster pistol it comes with is also pretty nice. I think it could have been done a little bit better in some areas. Just mostly, paint. There's no paint here and no paint in some areas. This stuff looks good, but other parts, you could just tell, yeah, that's just very plastic-like, but it's still a really nice figure. Number 6, I'm going to give it to the normal Death Watch Mandalorian. Some of you may be thinking, okay, this doesn't make sense because this figure is basically the same thing as Axe Wolves. You would be right. It's just mostly one thing I did forget to mention. My previous choice, the head, the helmet on Axe Wolves does not look very good on there, unfortunately. This being a prefixed head sculpt, all that looks really, really nice. I think the colors look a little bit better in this particular choice. At that point, it's just a subjective of which one I think it looks a little bit better. I don't think Axe Wolves' color choice is bad, of course. I just think it stands out a little bit better. Some of these color choices on this particular Mandalorian. Paint apps are really clean in some of these, white markings and some of the silver on here as well. Again, similar to Axe Wolves, I do wish there was better actual paint in the arms and torso and legs and all that. But again, the armor pieces, all that's pretty nice. The boots always had pretty good sculpting. Same thing with Axe Wolves. Again, I like the jetpack and the blaster pistol here, and I don't have it on me, but the rifle that this thing comes with is also really nice. So I just ended up liking this a little bit more to where I wanted to make a separate selection for this. Getting to the top 5 spot, and I have the Wandering Jedi version of Obi-Wan Kenobi here. I don't think it's perfect, unfortunately. I think that the likeness to Ewan McGregor is a little bit off, sadly. I think that the sculpt is there. I think the paint is just not all there, unfortunately. I do wish maybe we had a little bit of shading in the overall outfit too, but this thing does come with a lot of stuff, not just a blaster or a lightsaber, but also Lola as well. I think a stand for Lola too. The soft goods here I actually ended up really liking. The overall body here is pretty good. I believe it's going to be reused maybe for the Target exclusive one. The Target exclusive one is definitely a reuse. I don't know if it's going to be reused for the upcoming one. I think towards the end of the show that we're going to get this upcoming year. But this is still really nice. Either version I think you end up picking up, I think you'll be satisfied with. At number 4, I have the New Republic security droid, which is a really awesome droid figure. They usually do a great job with their droid figures in the line, that much I can say. And this one is no exception. I do think that maybe, I don't know if this is supposed to look a little bit more glossy or more metallic, the gray here, but there is metallic finish around what would be the chest and the stomach and all that. A lot of the smaller paint apps like this New Republic logo is really nice. They definitely borrowed engineering from the K2SO figure, and I think it's better for it. Definitely articulation. It has a pretty good range of motion, actually. Hips could be a little bit finagly, but head sculpt is pretty awesome. I don't have it on me, but the blaster that this came with is really sick. And I do like, the clear joints here to make it, look accurate, but also actually have articulation. I always like that system. It's just a really nice droid figure. Didn't get more than I would like, unfortunately, yet. I think hopefully I'll try to get more of these, but this is still a really awesome droid figure. At number 3, I have the Mandalorian version of Ahsoka Tano. Very impressed with this figure. I think mostly people had problems with these parts not being long enough, and I understand that. I still think it looks really good. This head sculpt looks a lot like Rosario Dawson. I think maybe a little bit better paint would make this look a little bit better, but man, it just looks so much like her from the show. The face markings, all that paint's nice. The paint up here, as well as just the overall body mold and sculpt with some of the smaller paint areas, mostly like on the gauntlets. All that looks fantastic. Some of these smaller details here are great. So this also has a similar issue with Boba, where the knees are a little bit blocky because of how baggy these are. I don't think it's as bad here as it was with Boba, though. I think they did a really great job overall with the boots here too. Lightsaber is also really nice. It's just such a nice figure. Very happy with it. At number 2, we have the NED-B figure from Obi-Wan, and I'm glad this came out before the end of the year. I think it was originally slated for 2023. This is a fantastic figure. This head sculpt is fantastic. Lots of sculpting all throughout is great. The yellow does look a little too much like plastic, but they do have some smaller bumps in here to really bring out some details and give this some more personality. I love some of the paint apps, especially like some of the oil or dirt around here. Even like on these forearm pieces, all that looks great. Doesn't come with that much. It didn't really need to, though. I don't have the blaster here, but the hammer is really sick. I don't remember what all should be metallic, but I feel like there should be a little bit better paint in some of these gray areas, also around the neck. But everything else, man, this is just such a nice looking figure. I think that the overall big bulkiness of it is really nice, and it's still fun to mess around with. It has pretty great range of motion for that. I paid a little bit under 30, like 25 bucks for this, and even if you did pay the retail price of a little bit over 30 bucks, I think that this is worth it. And at number 1, I'm going to give it to the Mandalorian Dark Trooper here. This is an absolutely fantastic army builder, and I'm glad this became a little bit easier to find, at least in my area. Even some of the crappier Walmart's got this figure. This is so nice. Part of me is not the biggest fan of just glossy black plastic. I think some extra paint, glossy black paint would have made this nice. You can just tell this looks molded in black plastic. However, it does look accurate to how it looks in the show, so I'm not going to knock it too much for it. And the paint that we do have in here, like, around the wrist, the arms, and up, and all that, and also in the knees, all that looks fantastic. The overall unique sculpt here is great. I'm not a big fan of this whole, soft plastic piece moving around here, unfortunately, but it's still that head sculpt is so great. The fact that this actually comes with alternate hands, including fists and all that, and the weapon, that's really sick. This is very fun to army build. I think it's getting a little bit cheaper depending on some online retailers to go through, so it's becoming a little bit easier to actually army build, not just because they're more abundant, but because of the price decrease. Who knows how long that's going to last. Even at 30 bucks, I do think that this is worth it. So yeah, that is my top 10. I know I kind of ranted about the line a little bit. I'm really hoping next year is going to be a little bit better than what I felt like we got this year. Not that we had bad figures, and not that, I don't like this line anymore, because I do. It's just I was a little disappointed. I do think next year is going to be stronger. Anyway, that's pretty much it. What did you guys think about this list? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with some things? Let me know. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.